Welcome to Tech Intersect. I'm your host, Tavonia Evans, and my life and work exist at the heart of law, business, and technology. Yeah, I've earned a few fancy titles and degrees over the years, but the bottom line is I'm a writer, speaker, teacher, and lifelong learner. And I'm really excited that you've joined me on this journey. So what is Tech Intersect? Well, it's authentic, empowering conversations with really interesting guests who demystify complex topics to prepare you for the future. Because your future is now. And it exists where law, business, and tech intersect. Get ready to listen, learn, and leverage. Let's get started. In this episode of Tech Intersect, I connect with Tavonia Evans of the GUAP Coin Foundation and the creator of GUAP Coin. Tavonia is a data scientist, a mother of 8, an entrepreneur, and after starting her company Safe to Meet, which was a peer-to-peer identity verification platform, she sought investment in 2015, but over the course of her experience, she learned what so many of us know, that only less than 1% of venture funding actually goes to Black female founders. Shout out to Dawn Dixon, who is managing an extraordinary raise, and to folks like Arlen Hamilton, focused on providing VC funding to people of color, the queer community, because again, less than 1% of venture funding actually goes to Black female founders. So that realization, along with Tavonia's struggle to secure funding, inspired her to say, let me just focus on and invest in myself and thereby invest in my community. So she created a product that specifically serves the interests of the Black community. It's GUAP Coin, GUAP Coin. And she created that coin in 2017 to help the community maintain wealth and to encourage participation in the Black economy. But GUAP Coin isn't just about financial prosperity. Tavonia also understood early on how valuable data can be. And we talk a lot about that in this episode. And not just how valuable it can be, but also the role that it can play in eliminating economic disparity. With blockchain and cryptocurrency, GUAP can dispel the myth of the disappearing dollar with a wealth of data that demonstrates the potential growth factor, not just to coin holders, but to future enterprises and investors in Black businesses. Incidentally, GUAP Coin was also a co-sponsor of the Blockchain Inauguration Forum that I recently participated in, along with Hill Harper and Kai Sheffield and a number of other people. I will drop a link in the show notes so that you can learn more information about that event and future events engaging with policymakers on the Hill. My company, Advantage Evans, was also a co-sponsor, along with the lead sponsor, Visa, and hosted by Cleve Messidor of the National Policy Network of Women of Color in Blockchain. Okay, before we jump into the episode, please take a moment to like, share, and comment so that others who would benefit from this content can actually find it. Time to listen, learn, and leverage. Let's get started. Welcome. In this episode of Tech Intersect, I welcome Tavonia Evans to the show. She leads the GUAP Foundation and created GUAP Coin, and she's a data scientist, a crypto-savvy entrepreneur, financial and education empowerment advocate in the Black community, and in her not-so-spare time, evidently a mother of 8. We're going to talk about that. And although we aren't related, we are absolutely, as a last name sister connection. We are sisters in spirit and in truth. And definitely we work collectively to educate and to empower the Black community, especially Black women, in order to nurture really a growth mindset financially, in order to create multiple streams of generational wealth. That's certainly important to me. And I know it is to you listeners. And it absolutely is important to our guest today, particularly in the digital and tech economies. So we will talk about all of that and more in a moment. But first, Tavonia, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So before we dive into our topics of conversation today, one, this is such an honor for me because this is a long time coming. Both of us are moving at a meteoric pace. We bump into each other virtually. And actually, when people used to leave their homes, we used to bump into each other all the time. But I realized we spend very little time actually just connecting. And I'm like,
I
right,
know, I
I need to speak
know,
to her. And
I
so
know.
I'm really thankful that we get a chance to do this. I also wanted to check in with you just to say, how are you doing in the middle of racial injustice pandemic, in the middle of a health pandemic, everything that's going on, good, bad, or otherwise in the crypto space, but just like personally, how are you and your family doing?
We're doing very well. I would definitely say, even though there's a pandemic going on, I don't think I've ever been busier.
Right.
Just my day to day, it's been pretty packed, but
Yes.
we're doing very well.
I'm glad to hear that because it's been, in some sense, I feel like as an only child and my own best friend, I've kind of been built for this life. I have an excuse to really just focus
Yeah,
in my little bunker.
yeah,
Um, but I like to do it because I want to do it, not because I have to. And then it was interesting. The moment you have to do something, it changes your mindset. Or it can,
yes,
all of a sudden it's
yes,
like, now I'm stuck. It's like, no, I'm not stuck. I'm hibernating. I'm repurposing. I'm resting.
yeah.
and I'm lucky to do that. So I'm glad to hear that you and yours are well. So tell the listeners, there will some who'll be absolutely familiar with all that you've done in this 5, 6, 7 years since you
Yeah.
got into the space. You're an OG, for sure. But there will be some who don't know your path, one, just into STEM and tech in general, but then also into crypto specifically. So tell us your origin story.
Well, I started out in technology about 25 years ago. And interestingly, I started out just the basics, like just regular graphics, desktop publishing, advertising, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then I expanded into development
Mm-hmm.
and expanded even further to enterprise development and corporate, and did a little stint again back in marketing. So I've
Mm-hmm.
always used my left brain, right brain, because I'm an artist too.
Yes.
So, and then, I got into blockchain, and quite recently I got into data science. Like, probably, well, I've been doing data for a very long time. Ever since government, I've been in data analytics and databases and stuff like that.
Right.
So, I've been working with data for a while, but actual data science in the terms of taking it to the next level of analysis and
Mm-hmm.
creating things with it and getting into AI and all of that stuff like that. That was fairly recent, like within the last 2 years.
Right.
And I'm still learning, because that's something that never stops. Like, new things come up. This is
Right.
technology. I still have goals that I want to accomplish personally in data science, et cetera. So,
Mhm.
being in tech, we're like a flower. We don't that never stops growing.
Right.
So,
I love that.
we constantly getting more, upskilling. Even though we don't have any intention on maybe getting a job in that area, we still want to upskill and learn things so that we can create solutions, especially.
Absolutely. And it's critically important now as we think about how we plan individually and collectively and to position ourselves to really take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution
Yeah.
and Web3 technology. So you just ticked off a number of Web3 technologies. And I love also that you have a growth mindset and you are a lifelong learner. So,
Hmm.
you bring an intellectual curiosity that makes sure that you don't have to get ready because you stay ready with
Yeah.
whatever the next thing is.
Yeah.
Uh, did you come into the world that way, or have you always, been intellectually curious in this way?
Yeah, I've always been intellectually curious. Admittedly, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was younger, but
Mhm.
all I wanted to do was expand my knowledge. And I guess keep going until I get to the place where I feel most comfortable where I'm at now.
Absolutely, because I think of it where nothing is static, right?
Hmm.
Energy is dynamic, so you're either moving forward or backwards. You're not standing still. And
Hmm.
so the process of continuing to engage in whatever the next thing is, I think about if we were to go back 5 years, hell, 2 years, and go down the list of employment opportunities or who was hiring in STEM in general, tech in particular, we would see a lot of the absence of jobs that we see now. When I think of,
Right,
even just coding languages that are
right,
extensions of what you may have been used to earlier.
right.
So you were on the front lines of some of that. Talk to us about how you made a pivot from data science in general and what might be done with data to focusing on a decentralized method of storing and securing data, particularly in the crypto
Mm-hmm.
space.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really what interested me most about blockchain was the data aspect of it. Because I feel as people of color, we're kind of susceptible to whatever anybody else says, and we don't participate in that data, in the data part. And we
Mhm.
don't. So there's not a lot of data of integrity out there with us, you know. So I looked at this as a way of gathering important data, especially in regards to business
Mhm.
and our trends and what we can do better and how we can improve our spending and how we can truly grow and scale. I was like, you know, data is the first thing
Right.
look
Absolutely.
at this. And I'm like, this is a way to, and not only is it a way to get it, but it's a way for us to get it and own it, you know. So because that's the difference, you know, people have been, of course, wanting to collect our data, but
Right.
now we're in the age of owning your data, you know, and in the age of making your data work for you, because if
Right.
you don't make it work for you, someone can make it work against you.
Absolutely.
So it's, this is a real key critical point, but there's always, what am I giving up for it? What am I getting for it? And I think that this is a good exchange. This is a good way to, you know, create some equity in that.
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense to me. And I was thinking about when I first learned about GUAP Coin, and I want you to tee up why you created it. So, moving to the crypto space, in addition, obviously, to cryptocurrencies, and that's our transition into GUAP Coin, is thinking about the decentralized method of recording data, decentralizing the ownership of it so it's not centralized in a party that is not beholden to the Black community in particular, and
Right.
also your sensitivity to the absence of, when we talk about the velocity of money, let's get at it this way, the fact that we as a Black community have buying power and spending power bar none,
Mm-hmm.
and yet that money was not recirculating in the Black community. And we are also more decentralized, right?
Right.
Because when I think about segregation, we were forced to rely on ourselves, and we actually
Right.
had thriving communities, separate and apart. It was forced in that way, but you had the teacher and the lawyer and the doctor and the person who owned the corner store and the market up the
Mm-hmm.
street, and we were all in one place. We as a community are decentralized. I don't
Right.
know, good, bad, or otherwise. We're seeing some of the downsides of that as well. So your focus, I say all that to say your focus on how do you recirculate money in the Black community when we're not all in one place, and how powerful of a platform blockchain technology can be and cryptocurrencies can be in that space. And I imagine that was some of the reason you decided, let's get GUAP Coin up and running. So talk about that journey.
You love listening to podcasts, but have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Maybe you want to build a brand, grow your business, or are looking for an excuse to talk about your favorite hobby. Whatever your reason for making a podcast, Buzzsprout is the place to start. Since 2009, Buzzsprout has helped over 300,000 people launch their own podcasts. Buzzsprout walks you step by step through the whole process and will give you powerful tools to start, grow, and monetize your podcast. Ready to get started? Click the link in the show notes to get our free step-by-step guide to starting your podcast today.
Well, the idea that we're kind of spread out, even, you know, on economic levels, but even just throughout the world, you know, we have so many facets of our culture globally,
Hmm.
and members of our culture globally. And how do we bring that together? So, me, you know, I'm looking at the ways that we currently bring that together. And one of the major ways we bring that together is through music.
Hmm.
Music is one of those things that have crossed through boundaries of cultures, languages, etc. You
Hmm.
know, there are people in Japan who know who Michael Jackson is and can sing every Michael Jackson song. Despite that, they may not even be able to speak English, you
Absolutely.
know. So there's always something that can link us in an affinity. And of course, music is one of those things, and money is another. You
Hmm.
know, money is definitely another affinity that can link us through, you know, across cultures, across languages, etc. So, we need to find something within that we value, and then we're able to share that without. And I think that's a huge issue that we have as Black Americans, is in terms of value. So much has been taken from us that we kind of don't realize how much we have,
Right.
and what we do have. And I think that this is a beautiful avenue for us to be able to see visually, data, financially, et cetera, to see actually how much we do have and how much value we have and how much worth we have. I think it's important to be able to see it.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of Tech Intersect. Our conversation will continue in a moment, but first, a word on an exciting opportunity.
There's a more cost-effective and time-efficient way to reach your leading-edge learning and earning goals, to put you ahead of the stiff competition in this fast-paced, tech-driven economy. You need skills, credentials, and a fast track to a competitive advantage. You need it now more than ever, and I can help. The Advantage Evans method puts you ahead of the curve with condensed, comprehensive online courses, curated content to leverage your current skills and expertise, live coaching, networking opportunities, and more. Upcoming courses include From Cash to Crypto to help you buy your first Bitcoin, and there are 2 ways to get your advantage. Advantage Evans Encore gives you maximum experience for your total competitive advantage and access for 1 year. It includes a live welcome and modules on terminology, buying and selling, exchanges, mining, earning crypto, trading and investing, and also several of the legal issues you need to know in order to be safe and secure as you enter this space. That includes tax compliance, how to plan for a Bitcoin estate, and securities laws to make sure you avoid any legal unforced errors. Now, Advantage Core gives you the essentials. It's a short course to give you what you want and the support you need to buy your first crypto in as little as 3 weeks, with access to the information and replays for 3 months. And if you're not quite ready for your Advantage and want a sneak peek to try before you buy, then register for a free masterclass where I share my Crypto 101 success checklist and cover current hot topics in crypto. So there truly is something for everyone, including you, to get in on the fast track and learn and earn in the digital economy. Visit AdvantageEvans.com to get started. That's AdvantageEvans.com.
And now, back to the conversation.
Okay, so we have a good idea of the why in general about GUAP Coin and the proposition for making sure that value recirculates in the Black community in particular. Talk to us specifically about the how-to, the mechanics, wallet, the GUAP Coin wallet, et cetera, to help people figure out if they want to get involved in the project, both on the wallet side or maybe on the node side, how that works with GUAP Coin.
Well, the wallet is the key, of course, to accessing the blockchain, and we've created various different wallets to address various different needs. We have our our desktop wallets, which are more expanded, and they kind of operate as a full node. So those desktop wallets are for people who want to do things like staking or set up their own master nodes, et cetera. But we also have Android and iOS wallets so that people can quickly join the ecosystem and just send GUAP Coin back and forth. And that's the easiest way to start. And we encourage people to get a wallet from the Android or iOS store. We also have what's called master nodes, and we talk about that a lot. And what master nodes are is they allow for transactions to be processed instantly, and that's what makes the platform very suited for small business and et cetera, because you need instant, pretty much instant transfers. You can't have long wait times. So we have master nodes, and we have people are able to own master nodes and run them. And when they do, they get a portion of the block reward. So they actually get paid in. We also have masternode hosting. So the reason we did that is because our community is pretty much very new to this. So we didn't want the community to be inundated with outsiders who come in and just scoop up all the masternodes,
Right.
which have a really big say in it. So we created a hosting platform that we host masternodes and just allow people to get masternodes and earn the rewards while we take care of the technical heavy lifting.
Hmm. How do people fund their wallet? I'm having some fun setting up a wallet from the App Store, but I'm also interested in tinkering around with something for a desktop platform too. So once people set up their wallet or set up their node on a desktop or laptop, where do they go from there to begin funding?
Well, if they want to get coins, they can go to the Probit exchange.
Mhm.
And that's probit.com. They would register at Probit. And then, of course, they would have to go through the KYC.
Mhm.
And once they've gone through the KYC, then they're set up to begin trade. So then they will have to fund their Probit wallet with Bitcoin. And there's numerous ways of getting Bitcoin because that's the entryway into the ecosystem.
Right.
They can get Bitcoin in Cash App or through BitPay or Simplex, buy it straight through the wallet, or they can get it from other exchanges that they may be using, or at a base level, they can get Bitcoin on a Bitcoin ATM these days.
Absolutely.
So they would send their Bitcoin to fund their Probit wallet, and that would allow them to start trading and getting GUAP Coin on the Probit exchange.
Mhm.
Next week, we're also launching a peer-to-peer exchange, which will allow people to get GUAP coins directly from other community members,
Mm.
because we're looking for the easiest ways to create access to this, and that's pretty much it.
That is really powerful. First of all, congratulations. I did not know that. And I think that's a major, major step forward for not only for this project and your vision of the project, but also toward adoption in the community
Yeah,
and reducing. I mean, it's always a challenge. And you and I spend a lot of time talking and educating people, regardless of what coin you ultimately do. We have to know about this.
yeah,
You do not want to be the last one to this party in the same way that we were in the .com era.
right,
Got to understand and have a certain level of understanding and reducing the barriers to entry so that people can easily manipulate and use it. I think of it in the car sense where you might not know exactly how your car works, but one, you have to know the reason to have a car, and two, you
exactly,
have to know where you're going.
exactly.
And what better way to do that than with a project that was not just inspired and envisioned, but launched by a Black woman who was, you stepped out on faith. There weren't a lot of people doing what you did when you stepped out into the world of GUAP Coin. I see those who are working with the foundation. You have a very strong foundation, but the origin of that was really your vision. I know you probably got a lot of, I don't know if it had to necessarily be pushback, but a lot of, what are you talking about? What
Yeah,
is this?
yeah.
How do you deal with that?
When I first started, it's funny because we weren't really dealing with so much of the race. We was dealing with the racial stuff, the everyday racial stuff, but it hadn't
Right.
quite come to a head like in 2018, 2019. So when I first launched 2017, they were like, "Well, why would you want to create a Black coin?"
Mm,
you know so they didn't appreciate the vision then, but a lot of people did. But other people were like, well, some people come to me and they're like, "Oh, that's such a niche market." I don't believe so. I don't believe we're niche.
clearly not. Clearly not.
Yeah, so you get all types of different comments on what your whys and why you're wanting to center around your folks, you know what I mean? And especially Black and brown people. And then
Hmm.
you get more surprised that you even get it from Black and brown people. So
Absolutely.
that's what I dealt with originally. And it's kind of heartbreaking a little bit because when you get a lot of the static from your own folks, right, and
Hmm.
everybody else, they can see the vision, but some of your own people can't see the vision. That's a little
Right.
heartbreaking. But you
Right.
got to swallow the heartbreaks and keep on going because they're not going to see it until down the line. And you got to get there. You got to get down the line. You can't give up.
Well, for those who have a growth mindset and are open, willing, and ready to grow, what are the first steps for a Black woman in particular, 35 to 55, has achieved some level or beyond? Shout out to the or beyonds. My mom, she jumped into the game and she tells me, it's like, look at my wallet. It's like, don't look at my
Yeah.
wallet. I gave her like $10 Bitcoin last summer when she took my From Cash to Crypto course, and she loves to look at it, and just her financial literacy. I mean, she's very well educated, all these things and all the trappings, but this is really new and
Yeah.
sophisticated stuff. And we as a community don't have a deep level of knowledge about just economic policy. I had Bitcoin Zay. He's on a recent
Right.
episode, and we were talking about that. And just even getting a wallet, funding a wallet, you learn a lot in exchanging fiat for any type of crypto, let alone getting BTC or GUAP Coin. That is education in and of itself. So for the Black woman in particular who's ready to go, what's the first thing that she needs to do in order to get ready to get involved in cryptocurrency?
The first thing she needs to do, like you said, is she needs to get a wallet and she needs to get some. Even
Mm-hmm.
starting small is starting somewhere. Find
Right.
the path of least resistance, at least to get you in the game. I don't usually throw people out there to just start researching because it's just so much diverse
Absolutely.
information, and it a lot of times just confuses people, because you got information coming from different perspectives. You got information coming from the investment perspective, like i.e. Wall Street stocks. You got information coming from the tech perspective, and then you have information that's coming from the influencer's perspective. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's so much of that diversity out there in terms of information. I've seen people just get really confused
Right.
and like really thrown off. My goal, it depends on what your goal is, but in terms of cryptocurrency, and GUAPCoin, my goal is that people know that this is money, because that's the most important thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because when the monetary system totally switches over or collapses or anything, and you're thrown into using this money as money, you were in a
Right.
better position when you got into it before you're thrown into it, so that you not only just become a consumer, but you become an educated consumer or educated creator, or you're able to leverage this in some way. You know what I mean? So you got people who
Absolutely.
have businesses. These people need to be able to prepare their customers for this, and
Right.
maybe integrate it early on and have their customers using cryptocurrency or GUAP coin or whatever, before the whole thing kind of just goes kabang.
Right.
And yeah, and you don't want people in those predicaments, because that could be devastating if we just have this
Absolutely.
sudden, switch over, and, we got to educate people and stuff like that. It's a lot better when we have already created a base of people who at least have the basic know-how. My 96-year-old grandmother has the basic know-how thanks to GUAP
Yes.
Coin.
Yes. We have to get my mom, and I have actually a couple of 70 somethings in From Cash to Crypto right now, and they are about the crypto life for
Yeah,
sure. We need like a little chat group. They can have tea and
yeah,
crypto, or whatever you drink. Have
yeah,
tea.
yeah.
That is really cool. I think, as you were saying that, it made me think of what I had to do when the pandemic hit, because at that time I was serving as associate dean at a law school, and I was responsible for getting everybody up and running to teach online, like pivoting on a dime.
Mhm,
I had been teaching not just my law courses, but other courses for professionals in the crypto space online for a couple of years.
mhm,
So it wasn't a pivot for me. And
mhm.
your point is well made. I didn't have to, there was certain tweaks and things like that, but I wasn't terrified of the technology. I knew how to use it. And so the transition was smoother for me. If
Yep.
or when we have an economic crisis, and we are damn close right now.
Yes, we are.
When you think about the amount of fiat, particularly in the United States, being printed, you think of inflation. We need only look at the example of other countries where you go to bed with money and you wake up and you're locked out of your bank account. You've lost all wealth.
Right,
And where do you go from there? Or
right,
if we have some type of event that brings down technology in some respects, or your ability to get money fiat out of an ATM,
right,
where do you begin?
right. And we may be
Right?
able to avert that. Absolutely, we
That's
can
correct.
avert that.
So this is your charge, everyone listening within the sound of our voices, that your charge, one, I have free resources and master classes to teach you about the future of money, set you up on a wallet. understand what Bitcoin is and how that kind of is one of the most important assets if you intend to acquire other coins so that you don't have to keep going from fiat into the crypto space.
Right.
Get a certain amount of crypto that pairs well with other currencies. So what you hear from Tavonia is having some Bitcoin, BTC, is the way to pair when you are on, remind me of the name of the...
Probit.
Probit, right? So if you're going to fund a GUAP Coin wallet, that you have an exchange between Bitcoin and GUAP Coin. And I know you mentioned that you wanted to offer anyone who sets up a wallet an opportunity to perhaps receive some GUAP Coin. Let us know how that might work. And I will drop a link in the show notes for, not only your website, but also anything else that they might need to get access to a wallet. And once they get it set up, what can they expect from you?
Once they get their wallet set up, I think the next stage is to make sure that they join the Telegram and join the community. Because that's the lifeline and the lifeblood of the community. They can keep up to date with things. They can get additional help by joining the Telegram because, maybe they want to get some coins on Probit. There are people in the Telegram community that can help them do that as well. I think it's important that we participate in completely building this new financial future, especially as people of color, so that we can ensure that we close the gap and that we, make considerable headway with the innovation that is presented with us right now, especially through blockchain and cryptocurrency. So I'm very excited to participate in that process.
Excellent. Well, my sister in spirit and in crypto, I'm so glad that we had a chance to connect. I really applaud all of your efforts and your commitment, regardless. It was never a matter of if, but when. And there are not a lot of early adopters. There are a whole lot of people who come after it's safe to come outside.
Yeah.
But you're the trailblazer.
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you for everything that you have, are, and will continue to do for our community and for the world, really, because when we are great, the rest of the world benefits.
Absolutely. And thank you. Thank you for the work you do.
Tavonia isn't just talking the talk of financial freedom and economic empowerment. She's thrown the weight of her years of vast experience and business acumen into the space to empower people, especially Black women, to boldly enter the blockchain and crypto space as creators, investors, and nation builders. And she's playing a key role to interact with policymakers on the Hill as we welcome a new administration into the White House and into key positions at agencies. And it's those agencies that will take a fresh look, hopefully with a new perspective on the future of money in this emerging digital cash economy. Check out the links in the show notes for more information on GUAP Coin and register for one of my upcoming masterclasses or the full From Cash to Crypto course, so I can share what I've learned with you and empower you so that you can enter the crypto space safely, legally, and confidently. Final housekeeping notes. Please take a moment to like, comment, and share this episode and this podcast with your networks. Follow me on social media and let me know what topics you'd like to hear more of and who you want to hear from. All right, that's all for this episode. Until next time, continue to shine.
Stay in touch with host Tavonia Evans via your favorite social media. On Twitter at Tech Intersect and on Instagram via the handle Tech Intersect. This podcast has been produced by Stephanie Renee for Soul Sanctuary Incorporated.